Afternoon. Oh, that went well. Afternoon. Oh, it's Saturday afternoon. You've had a big lunch and everybody's going, So stick with it for another half hour. Bit of energy would be good. I am very glad that you invited me to speak at convention this year while my passport still allows me to enter an EU country. I'm not going to say that we're sort of obsessed with our in-out vote in the UK, but put it this way, on the flight over here, the stewardess announced that there were Brexits over the wings. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. Let's go. What is that sound? Annoying. Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's the engaged tone. That's enough of that. I'm glad you recognised it, because quite frankly, it took me an awful long time on Google to find a recording of the Dutch engaged tone. Well, it's actually very similar. It's very similar to the British one. And then I ran it past Paul Savell a couple of days ago, and he said, you know what? We have several telecoms companies. We have several engaged tones. I was like, oh, you are kidding me. But that is the engaged tone. Now, to me, that is the sound of engagement. And I've had people say, but Steve, it's completely the opposite of engagement because I can't connect. But you know what? That is the sound of two people having a conversation. That is two people who are completely connected. Two people who are going back and forth. They're having a dialogue. And to me, that is what engagement is all about. And it's a word that actually we've heard from a number of speakers already over the last couple of days. They've mentioned engagement and how important it is. So what I want to do this afternoon is explore engagement, what it is and how you go about it. And we'll look at some examples of how you can apply it as a speaker and as a business. So let's start with an example. This is a tale of two castles. This is Combe Abbey. Combe Abbey is in the Warwickshire countryside, just south of Birmingham. We actually had a PSA Fellows meeting there January last year. Unfortunately, you can't really see it against that light, can you? It's a beautiful spot. It's built in the 12th century as a monastery. It's where Queen Elizabeth I spent much of her childhood, and it's absolutely beautiful. It has a moat surrounding it. You drive up to it through the countryside, park your car, walk up to it, and think, this is fabulous. So what do you want to do? You want to whip out your phone and take a photo and share it. You want to say to people, this is where I am. Look how beautiful it is. And I was stood there with my phone out, about to take photos, and I suddenly thought, there's all these signs in the way. It's a real pain. So I got a bit closer. And that's what the sign said. No photography. That is the opposite of engagement. That is a business that says, we don't want you to talk about us, let alone to us. That's a business that doesn't want to go into a conversation with you. They don't want you to share. Just think of the opportunities they are missing by saying that. By contrast, this is Conwy Castle, which is up on the North Wales coast. Rebecca knows this one. It was built by King Edward I in the 13th century, who I think you'll agree was a really astute businessman, realizing the importance of putting a car park right in front of your castle. But it's gorgeous. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And it's just beautiful. And as you walk round the castle, what you come across is a number of these. Now, Rebecca, can you translate? I can't say it. Go on, what does the words in pink actually say?
It basically says, have you enjoyed your visit?
Yeah, we do that.
Can you say it in Welsh?
Well, yeah, that.
There you go. I can't say that. One of these days I'll learn it and say it in Welsh. But that doesn't actually need a call to action. You can see what that is doing. That is inviting you to engage. That's saying, we want you to talk about us. We want to engage in a conversation. And sure enough, if you take a photo and you share it, you tweet about it, you post it on Facebook, they will engage. So this is their Twitter feed. They reply to everybody. They respond. They retweet. All that stuff is engagement. What I particularly like, though, is this one in the middle. Fancy working in a castle? Jobs now available. Yes, I want to be a knight in shining armour. It's actually in the gift shop, never mind. But that, to me, is engagement. So two really stark examples. How not to engage, how to engage. Two businesses, one gets it right, one gets it wrong. So, I think there are 5 things that make up engagement. And these are 5 things that you need to be doing in your business. So I'm going to explore these. These are the 5 tenets of engagement: curiosity, diversity, generosity, personality, and humanity. And I think you need these not only when you are on the stage, but every time you communicate as a business. Because what you want to do is start a two-way conversation. Whether you are talking to clients, whether you're talking to customers, to prospects, whether you're talking from the stage to an audience, you need to start making conversations two-way. Businesses that don't engage are now going out of business. It's no longer an option, it's a prerequisite. But anyway, let's explore some of these. First one. Does anybody know where that is?
Yeah, it's Mars.
It's Mars, yeah. That is the surface of the planet Mars, and there's the Curiosity rover down the bottom. When I searched for pictures to illustrate Curiosity, it was either that or a dead cat. Because as we all know, curiosity killed the cat. Anyway, curiosity. So, what is curiosity? It's a strong desire to know or learn something. And surely that is what most of our audiences come into our speeches to hear. They want to learn something. They want to know or learn something new. So I think it is beholden on us as speakers and as business people to be curious about other people. We need to start wanting to know more about them, because the more we know about them, the better we can work with them, the better we can speak to them. So for instance, start getting curious about businesses, about your customers, your clients, particularly about your prospects. Now, it's very easy to just do a little bit of due diligence, find out their figures, are they in profit, all that sort of stuff. But start investigating a bit more. Do some more in-depth Google searches. Find out what's the ethos, what are the politics, what's the mood like, is this a happy ship or a sad ship? The more you know about those businesses, the easier it is going to be for you to engage with them and do business with them. So start getting curious about your businesses, but get curious about your audiences too. Now, you'll often hear people say, okay, what you should do is you start using the hashtag before an event and engage that way. Yeah, absolutely, you should. But I think get curious about your audience. Look on the social media. Look at maybe 10 people who are using the hashtag too, and start looking at them. Get curious about those 10. What makes them tick? What are their motivations? Why are they coming to this event? What do they want to get out of it? Are there any commonalities? Do all these 10 people have something in common? Are they all roughly the same age, the same gender, the same background, the same occupation? Because if you know that about those 10, if they are roughly representative, chances are that'll be true of the whole audience, and you can tap into those commonalities. So by getting curious, you can engage with your audience far more because you're going to know far more about them. But curiosity goes 2 ways. Not only can you be curious about something, but you can be a curiosity. A curiosity is an unusual or interesting object or fact. And surely it is in our job descriptions as speakers to at least be interesting. Although quite frankly, if that is the best word on your feedback sheet, you are doing something wrong. We should be so much more than interesting. But actually, let people get curious about you. Be transparent. Let people find out more about you. One of the barriers to being a curiosity is differentiation. A lot of speakers fail to differentiate themselves from their competitors. Now, I think somebody, I can't remember who it was, asked earlier about whether there was anybody in the room who didn't have a competitor, and I think, Victor, you were the only person who said you don't have a competitor. The rest of us all have competitors. If somebody goes to your website or your social media, are you differentiating yourself from those competitors? Little test, when you get back to your computer, go to the homepage of your website, copy all the text, and paste it into a Word document. Then use the find and replace function to strip out every mention of you and your business and replace it with your closest competitor. When you read the copy back, I can almost guarantee you will have just described your closest competitor in glowing and accurate terms. And it's because you haven't differentiated. You haven't told me, the potential booker, why I should book you and not that other speaker who speaks about a very similar topic over there. So allow people to get curious. So my question to you on curiosity, I'm curious to know, who or what are you curious about? What do you want to know about them? And what are you going to do with that knowledge? So just a question I'm going to leave you with on that one. So that's curiosity. Next one, diversity. Now I have to be honest, when I came to try and find a slide to illustrate diversity, What I got were lots and lots of pictures of groups of people of different ethnicities. That was diversity. And it's sort of been hijacked by the HR department. In actual fact, diversity is the state of being diverse, a range of things. And as speakers, I think we have to be diverse. So for instance, diversity of channel. If you're only giving keynotes, you're missing out. Diversify your message. You could deliver training, you could deliver masterclasses, you can deliver webinars, you can deliver vlogs, you can deliver newsletters, you can deliver books. Make sure your message is being distributed in diverse ways. And actually, you're opening up new markets for yourself. But also have a look at the diversity of your audience. Now, if you're like me and you speak a lot to business groups, chances are you speak to an awful lot of white, grey-haired, middle-aged men. And I say that as a white, middle-aged, grey-haired man. But that is the typical business audience. If that is the typical audience you are speaking to, you're missing out, because there's an awful lot of other people who aren't in that subset. So think about how you can diversify your audience. Who else would respond to your message? Who else needs to know, to hear the expertise you have to share? So how can you diversify yourself as a speaker by diversifying your audiences? Because actually you can engage far more with a diverse audience. The other thing I would just say is to go back to that sort of slightly HR definition of diversity, make sure when you are speaking to a diverse audience that everybody can see themselves reflected in your speech. If all your slides show middle-aged, grey-haired men, then the rest of the audience is going to switch off. So make sure your slides, your stories, your anecdotes, all those things are actually as diverse as well. So my questions on diversity. How diverse are you? Little exercise to try when you get back. List all the channels you use to communicate, and then make a note of who your audiences are. Are those audiences diverse? For instance, if all the people who are subscribed to your newsletter are the same group of people who are following you on Twitter, that's not a diverse audience. You're just covering the same set of people twice. How could you grow either of those audiences in a new direction? So that's diversity. Generosity. How generous is your business? Definition of generosity, the quality of being kind and generous. Question for you, what can you give away in your business? Say again? Advice? Knowledge? Seminars? Happiness. Oh yes, we like that. International Day of Happiness is tomorrow, it is indeed, isn't it? So let's be happy. It's Nikki's birthday too, something else to be happy about. Hey! What else can you give away in your business? Yeah, books, expertise, knowledge, white papers, all those things. You've got all those things to give away. How many people do have something on their website that people can download for free? Okay, how many of you make people give you their email address in order to do it? Quite a number. I would say that is not generosity, that is a transaction. I'm buying that white paper, that ebook, whatever, by paying with my very valuable data. That email address has value to you. I think you should be looking for ways of being generous in your business. In particular, try to default to yes when somebody asks for something. I think it's true of life generally. Try to default to yes. Can we go for a coffee? Yes. Could we have a catch up on Skype? Yes. Would you mind having a look at this document for me? Let me know what you think. Yes. Can I run my Keynote past you to get your feedback? Yes. Because yes is where the opportunities lie. Because that's where you're going to find out further down. There might be collaboration. There may be ways of working together. You may be referrals to be made. But if you've said no right from the word go, you're never going to get that far. You might have to say no further down the line, because let's face it, we all know people will take the mickey. But actually default to yes, and I think you can be much more generous. Think of it as time philanthropy. We often think of philanthropy being about money, but actually you can be philanthropic with your time as well. So that's generosity, and I would ask, what are you doing in your business that is truly no strings attached, and that's the important bit, generous? Something to think about, because generosity is an amazing way to engage. If people feel they've got something for free, they're going to engage you much, much more rapidly. So next one, personality. I nearly called this section Sparkle. Simply because I had a business coach a couple of years ago who said to me, Steve, when you get on stage, you sparkle. Now, I have absolutely no idea what she meant. I have no idea whether I sparkle, and I'm not going to analyze it, because if I do, I will probably lose it. But actually, personality, and I think this goes back to exactly to what Ruby said earlier about authenticity. This is about being you. One word of advice, a funky jacket does not a personality make. Although, do you like this one? I have to say, if you squinted it very hard, the face of Paul Savell just appears on it. But personality is about being you. Find a way to channel your personality. I mean, the definition of personality, combination of characteristics or qualities that form an individual's distinctive character. Two key words, individual and distinctive. You've got to find ways to be distinctive. You've got to find ways to channel your own style of speaking. Now, along with a lot of people in this room, I do some speaker coaching, and I have had people come to me saying, Steve, can you teach me how to speak like you? No. Quite frankly, I don't want the competition. But what I can do is I can teach you to speak like you. And that's the key to personality, is finding ways to let you through. And that can be just being honest, telling personal stories, being who you are. If the audience gets one whiff of inauthenticity, they'll switch off, they'll disengage. But actually, if they feel they're getting to know the real you, and again, I think it was Ruby said earlier, be the same you on stage and off, the audience will go for it. They'll really engage with you much more readily. So my question to you on personality is, how are you currently letting your personality show through in business and in your speeches? Find ways of actually letting the real you show through. The final tenet of engagement, humanity. So it's one of those words, it's a big pompous word, sounds like it should be intoned in one of those sort of American movie trailers, humanity. Big pompous word. What it actually means is this: human beings collectively and the quality of being human. Be a person. Don't be a robot. Don't be a bot. Classic example, scheduling tweets. I'm glad you agree. If you schedule tweets, you are a robot. A scheduled tweet is not engaging. Because even if I reply to it, I'm not going to hear back from you. I might not hear back from you for hours. It's not actually an engagement tool at all. It's a barrier to engagement. If I post on social media, on any of the platforms, I post live. If that's where I'm live. Thank you. I'm glad you agree. Because in fact, it means I can interact with people. If people respond to me, if they reply to me, if they retweet me, I can go straight back to them and reply. I do not schedule because I want to be me. I'm a human being. And I would really encourage you to think the same way. And people say, oh, but I need to be appearing on Twitter every 3 hours. No, you don't. Sorry. And I know that flies in the face of some of the advice we've had from other speakers, but no, you really don't. There is nobody sat at their computer hitting the refresh button going, Steve hasn't tweeted for a while, refresh. No, he still hasn't tweeted for a while, refresh. No, he still hasn't tweeted. No, they're not doing that. It doesn't matter if you're not there for a while. And actually, sometimes irregularity can be better because it shows it's real. If people think that all they're seeing is an automated feed of your thoughts and your ideas and all that sort of stuff, they will disengage. So don't be a bot. I'd also say don't be a process. I receive an email every week, or every month I should say, from the law firm that I use on the south coast of England where I live. And it comes from their managing director, who's called Panina, and it's called Panina's Perspective. And it's an email with a video in, and it's Panina talking about a current legal issue. It's actually very good. But when it appears in my inbox, the email address it comes from is Ollie, her personal assistant. It might say, Dear Steve, and it love Panina at the bottom, there's this lovely video where she's talking to me, but it comes from Ollie. And there's immediate disconnect. I'm not getting this from a human, I'm clearly getting it from a mailing list. Now, we know that these things are automated. They have to be. We can't send everything out individually. But make sure the process is as human as it can possibly be. I'd also say don't hide behind a brand. People book me. They book Steve Bustin. They don't book Vada Media, which is my business name. They book Steve Bustin. So that's who I am on Twitter and on social media. So don't hide behind a brand. People book as speakers. People want you and your expertise. So my question to you on humanity is, how do you show your humanity, and are you in danger of being a bot? Please, if you take one thing away from this, don't be a bot. Don't be a bot. Thank you. So, those are the 5 tenets of engagement. I think you need all those. I think those are now essential business skills. Okay, some people said, oh, this is a model. I don't think this is a model because a model suggests there are other ways of doing it, and I don't think there are. This is it. You need, absolutely, you need curiosity, diversity, generosity, personality, and humanity in your business. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to go and look and expect to see all those 5 things in every tweet or every blog post. But if I go and look at your Twitter feed over the last 7 days, if I go and look at your blogs over the last few weeks, if I see you on the stage delivering a keynote, I would expect to see those 5 things in there, in some form or another. So I think these are now non-negotiable. These are essential business skills, and they all go to make up engagement, that two-way conversation. Because if we're not engaging, we're losing business. So let's just look at a few ways that you can start to adopt these and actually use them in your business. Let's start with words, copy, all those sorts of things. So often, when we start to talk about our business, particularly if we're writing about our business, all our humanity goes straight out the window, and we just start talking gobbledygook. Do you have The Apprentice in Holland? The TV program, The Apprentice? You do? Okay, and you may also see the British version as well, I don't know. The candidates in the British version talk business gobbledygook. They talk utter rubbish because they think that's how business sounds, and it's not. So I'm going to give you an example. This first example, this isn't from The Apprentice. This is from the flyer, or the leaflet, of a company that mows your lawn. I hope you can read this at the back. It's quite small. I'll just let you revel in the glory of this. So basically, our staff have phones and they'll call the office if there's a problem. Now, it's not just me, is it? That is just utter rubbish. And yet, people think that's how business should sound. There is absolutely no humanity in that. There's no personality in that. There's no generosity in that. There's very little curiosity in that. It's a bit curious, but that's about as far as it goes. So I just think that is just a classic example of how to disengage with the words you use. Another example, this is from a website. The phrase was, our support team is really quick. Quick at what? Yeah, crosswords? Sudoku? I don't know. Yeah. Our support team is really quick. It's actually completely non-specific. It's not engaging. Change it to that, and I think that's engaging. Because all of a sudden, we've got personality. We'll get you. There's humanity. We're talking about individuals. The curiosity will get you an answer. Not just support, will get you an answer. And I think the fact there's a time limit, 24 hours, is also much more engaging. And in fact, the company that did this, it was a huge relief to them because they had been trying to provide customer support almost instantaneously by saying we'll be really quick. But once they said 24 hours, they could take a step back, and actually they had a much longer period in which to respond. So it actually made their whole working lives much easier. So I think, again, copy can be much more engaging. Let's talk about the stage. 2 ways I think you can engage from the stage. 1, don't be scared of interaction. And I have to say, I thought the session yesterday about interaction, I've forgotten, I can't see where now it is. Cyril. I thought your session yesterday was brilliant. I took lots of notes. Ways to interact on the stage. Interaction's incredibly engaging. Different ways of doing it. I had somebody recently say, but Steve, I work in huge auditoria. Big conference venues, audience in the dark. It's like you can absolutely interact, get your audience to take their phones out. You say, if you vote yes, light it up, hold it up, put them down. If you vote no, hold your phone up. If you tell the organisers, and particularly the AV team, that you're about to do it, they love it because they get amazing photos of their auditoria all lit up with all these lights voting yes and no. It's a really nice way to do it. So even in a huge space, you can still interact. The other thing I think you can use to engage is humour. But I have people saying, oh my God, I can't be funny. I don't know how to tell jokes. This isn't about telling jokes necessarily. Although if you can, do it. But actually, you can let your slides take the strain on this one. I'm going to show you some of my favourites. I think that's a lovely slide. I use that when I ran a PR agency for many years, and if I was presenting graphs to clients, I'd drop that in halfway through and say, oh, I'm really sorry, that shouldn't be there. I don't know how that got there. By which time they'd read it, they'd laugh, they'd engage, job done. I think that's great. And don't worry, I've only got 5 minutes left. It is coming to an end.
In your presentation.
Always have a cat in your presentation. Absolutely, good rule of thumb. I do a lot of work. I speak to students. I'm a visiting lecturer in the business school at the University of Brighton, and I will often use slides like that because students are a really, really tough audience, and they love that sort of stuff. So that's always good. It doesn't even have to be funny. It can just be a what the moment. Yeah. So what the? It's great, isn't it? This was actually, I found this online a few weeks ago, and it was the subject of a caption competition. Now, I don't know if this is going to translate. The winning caption was, by the end of the third movement, most of the audience had lost interest. So not only did I find a picture that made people laugh, I got a punchline given to me with it. So find things that make you laugh and actually think about how you can bring them into your presentation. And it takes the onus off you to have to be funny. Although, having said that, a great way to find humour is to talk about the space you're in. Look around you, think about what's funny in here, what's going to make people laugh. So when I got in here earlier, I did think, this room is really slim, but really deep, a bit like all the Dutch people I've met. There's a compliment in there. I don't know. But actually, when we do it at PSA London, we have a room this shape, but we have our stage on that side. So all of a sudden, the room is very stylish, but very shallow, a bit like me. So you can always find ways of using humour to engage. So, just to wrap up, you need to start thinking about how you are engaging, whether you are engaging. You've got the 5 tenets. You've got curiosity, diversity, generosity, personality, and humanity. Are they present in your business on a regular basis? This isn't something you just dip in and out of. This is something that should underpin the work you do. Because if you're not engaging with bookers, with clients, with customers, with the people who can give you business, you are going to struggle as a speaker business. If you're not engaging with audiences, your message isn't going to get through. You're not going to have the impact you want. You're not going to create the change you want. But you have to be responsive. Engagement's about finding that two-way conversation, making sure that as you put stuff out there, you're getting some sort of feedback, some sort of response back. So I think it is imperative that you start to make sure that this is at the heart of your business. Now, I had hoped at this point to have a really fancy link where you could go and download all my things for free, and unfortunately my web designer failed me. So if you would like slides and other resources, drop me an email, and I won't harvest them, I promise. And actually, I'll send you the slides and a couple of other handouts as well, which just explain engagement in a little bit more detail. So that's it. I think engagement... Oh, sorry, have I got to go back? There you go. So steve@stevebustin.com. Are you going to take a photo? All right. Do you want me to stand in front of it? Okay. So I think engagement is at the heart of what we do as speakers. It's at the heart of our businesses. It's at the heart of what we do on stage. So I have to finish with a plea from which I will take the traditional position when I say, please, ladies and gentlemen, let's get engaged. Thank you.